The ACC saw three teams land in the AP Top 25. We'll talk about whether or not Clemson should have been ranked higher than Florida State, given, they are ACC champions. We'll also talk about who potentially got snubbed from the AP poll, all on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe to the pod, and make sure you give us a nice follow on our Twitters, respectfully. And make sure that you, from time to time, let us know how you're feeling in those YouTube comments. And while you're there, you might as well give us a subscription. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions do apply. Kenton, what's going on? AP Top 25. I feel like we're already starting with spice here in the ACC.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. And it's reflecting something that I talked about that a lot of people don't want to hear, but we kind of have to get into it in terms of the negative buzz around the ACC is so greatly exaggerated. And for what? For what is the reason? What is the thought behind like this thought that the ACC is just this terrible tier that's so far below all the others? But we'll get into it. Let's get into it.
As someone who's grown up an ACC kid, like I have probably stories connected to damn near each and every school. It's amazing to me just how we are an afterthought or a dying conference. I get the TV deal and all the things are bad, but you act like these are podunk universities, which is just forever going to be mind-boggling for me.
I want to know what did the Big 12 do that has everybody so high on them? We're like, oh, this is going to be a great conference. This conference is going to be amazing. I really genuinely want to know, besides the addition of UCF, because I think that was a great get. I've been saying for quite some time that the ACC need to get UCF. But other than that, I want to know what the Big 12 has done that's just like they're comfortable, they're secure. They're rocking this thing. They're going to be the third power conference. The ACC is out to die. Like, what? Our TV deal is going to pay more than theirs at some points during the deal, according to projections. So what's going on here?
1,000%. Well, three ACC teams are trying to hold it down on a national standpoint. They have landed in the AP Top 25. You've got Florida State at number 8, Clemson at number 9, and North Carolina at number 21 to start out the season. No one has played yet. They're all just giving predictions based on last year's performances and a couple returners and what people think that will happen this season. But, for three teams out of 25, it's pretty clear how we're feeling about the ACC right now in terms of grand scale. I would say, though, it's nice to see not just Clemson and everybody else.
Absolutely. These teams getting in, more teams getting in and being thought of is always important. That's always a good thing. You're never going to hear me saying, oh, my God, what a terrible thing it is that we have teams that are thought of and highly regarded. But with that being said, even the teams that they highly regard and all that, you kind of scratch your head at some points in time. Like, did we watch the same teams? Did we watch the same games? What are we looking at? What's the criteria for this to be judged? I noticed the Associated Press poll, which means that these polls are made up of hundreds of voters and whatnot. But certain things just leave you kind of, you sure about that? You sure about that?
And having Florida State at number 8, we have talked about throughout this entire preseason, off-season talk, summer talk, just how much pressure is on this Florida State team. Coach Mike Norvell, Jordan Travis, Johnny Wilson and company. There's a lot to be said about Jared Verse in that defense. Now everyone's buying what you're selling, Mike Norvell. How much pressure do you feel like is on the Seminoles to get things done, especially considering people are turning the page and essentially saying that this team is back?
An immense amount of pressure. Them being the number 8 team in the ACC, or the number 8 team in the nation, being the front runner in the ACC, that says something. That means something. That For whatever reason, people now believe in Florida State at not just a high level, but at the highest level of all the teams in the conference. And I understand that they have certain questions answered that maybe Clemson doesn't, but it's a situation where, you know, lots of people are giving Florida State love, and now they've got to act upon that. They've got to do good things, because if they don't, I mean, you're going to run into some problems. You're going to run into some serious problems being a team that has been shown this love but cannot live up to their name or the hype that came with it.
And I think also just with what has happened this offseason and their disdain for wanting to be in the ACC, wanting to be bigger and better. Boy, if you have never needed to have a good season, this is do not come to any of your ACC counterparts and not be great, right? That is just fuel for their fire to say, oh, you want to leave so bad, but you can't even win the championship. You want to win so bad, but you can't even compete in college football playoff. Like this was, if there was ever a year where you have built all the smoke, you have puffed your chest, you have let us know that you are bigger, better, and better and shouldn't be here, this is the year where you better deliver.
I also think that it's because of the new distribution model that rewards success, right? This is a team, number 8 in the nation, a team that's not even really a dark horse per se in terms of the college football playoff race. So if you are placed in that lane of, hey, you want more money, you're arguing, screaming, yelling, crying, and throwing up for more money, and there's an opportunity to make more money via going to the playoff, going to a New Year's Six bowl, all that good stuff, and you don't make it, sit there and eat your food. Man. Sit there and eat your food quietly. Eat your vegetables and don't say nothing. Don't say
Y'all better be in a prayer circle every week, making sure all your starters and your dogs are tip-top shape. Like this, if there was ever a locked-in year, this has to be the one for you. Now, you talk about our defending ACC champions, who we'll get in this debate in just a second, but just speaking solely on Clemson, a team that won ACCs last year, maybe because there isn't a strong conference. You can make that debate for yourself. But Clemson at number 9. Has Clemson taken a tick back? We're so used to them being a top 5 program and people being really high on them. And because we don't have a Trevor Lawrence, a Deshaun Watson at the helm, people are like, oh, they've taken a notch back. They've fallen since, they have these new offensive coordinator. Well, we don't know what he can bring or what kind of offense he's going to dial up. Do you think Clemson is sort of getting snubbed a little bit with their number 9 ranking?
I get what people are saying in terms of they lost their leading passer in DJU. They lose some of their best pass rushers in terms of I believe Miles Murphy is in the NFL now. You're looking up and saying, hey, they've got a few guys that are no longer there and all that good stuff. But the reality is they're still returning a ton. Like this is not Clemson is at that stage where they don't do full rebuilds. They don't do 3-4 years of, hey, we've got to be bad for the next couple of years, and then we'll get back good again on the back end of this thing. They're at the point where it's just like, oh, boy, 3 first-rounders, great. Let's reload and do it all over again. Oh, boy, we've had a great season where we went to a national championship. Great, let's reload and do it all over again. Oh, boy, Deshaun Watson's gone. Let's reload with the Trevor Lawrence. Oh, boy, Trevor Lawrence is gone. Let's reload with a K. Klubnik or, whatever the case may be. And so there are questions about this team for sure. Clemson is known for having a dominant pass rush, not a dominant pass rusher. There's a difference between the two. A dominant pass rusher, one player, that's an impact player, changes the game. A dominant pass rush, however you decide to do it, be it via the blitz, be it via rushing forward, be it whatever you do, you're known for getting home. That's what Clemson's known for. And that I think that's a benefit of theirs in terms of looking at what we had last season with their team and what could be this season. This is a team that, you say to yourself, your leading sack man is gone. It's okay. The next guy behind him had one less sack. You're not looking at a situation where it's a 20 sack guy and then you've got like 2-3 guys that are like, oh yeah, they got 6 sacks each. This is a team that had multiple guys that were, getting to the quarterback at a high level. They could draw blitzes with some of the best of them. And so with that being said, Tyler Davis is going to have to play a vital role on the inside. They're going to have that receiving room step up and do good things to help Cade out. And Cade's going to have to take a huge step forward. He's going to have to take a huge step forward. But that can be anticipated after an entire offseason of being QB1, an entire offseason of knowing you're the guy.
And I think more so than that, they know how to step up to the plate, because there was so much talk about, what are you guys going to be like without Brett Venables? Your defense is going to take a tick back. You're not going to be the same caliber. You're not going to be this great Clemson team. They said, all right, anyway, now you have this new offensive coordinator who y'all said the offense was a problem last year. They weren't clicking. And now you have someone who people are very highly regarding in Garrett Riley. So I think that ultimately it's going to be about Clemson just, hushing all the noise, removing all like what the naysayers are saying, and locking in and just reminding people, as if they didn't know, just how good Clemson is. But before we get into that, of course, we talk about Clemson. We talk about Florida State. We talk through, just why we think that this ranking might be a little controversial. We'll talk about North Carolina here in just a second. But, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Go to LinkedIn Jobs to get the right candidates. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Clemson and Florida State have been the talk of the town in regards to the rankings and the differential treatment that sometimes Clemson may get over Florida State and vice versa. But hey, listen, at the end of the day, it is what it is, 8 and 9. Do you feel like Florida State should have been ranked higher than Clemson?
I can't. You got to beat the man to beat a man. And Florida State hasn't beat the man yet. You know what I mean? And by all means, if they whip the wheels off them this year, I can see it. It makes sense. If they do what needs to be done and get it done this year, hey, more power to you. But they just simply haven't beat the man to a level to where I'm like, hey, this team has not only beaten Clemson, they've also gotten to the conference championship. They also won the conference championship. Again, it's been a while. I had a full flourishing head of hair last time Florida State won the ACC, with all due respect. It's been a little bit, So the reality is very simple for me in looking at these teams and saying, hey, it's Florida State. You got to beat the man. You got to do the thing.
Kenton, we always talk about how Dabo needs that push, that fake, they don't like us, target on our back push. Mm-hmm. Putting Florida State above Clemson was the hater energy that Dabo needed to have make those guys feel like, listen, they don't believe in you guys. You guys are the underdogs. They put a team that's you've beaten over and over again ahead, and look at them. They still don't give you the respect you deserve. So go out there and win national championship. You can't write it better. You can't write it better.
And the worst part about it is I have to agree with Dabo now. I have to sit here and say they're disrespecting this Clemson team. I understand the mentality of what have you done for me lately and all that. But if you're looking around the conference, who else has done anything lately? Who else has won one? Who else has even pushed for one? Outside of Pitt in the COVID year, nobody has been close.
Yeah.
And actually, now that I think about it, it was the year after COVID, wasn't it?
It was.
The year after COVID. It wasn't the COVID year.
Okay.
But that's my point. Nobody else has been close. And it's like, I hate to agree with Dabo that it seems like teams, not just the teams, it seems like the media here was waiting on their chance to put somebody in front of Clemson, because again, how? What are you basing this on? With all due respect, if I've seen y'all play each other year after year after year, and you put the smackdown on the team year after year after year, how do I just up in one day say, hey, that team's better than you? And trust me, I understand the historical context. I get it. I understand that. But this is the teams of the past don't walk out on the field with you. For Virginia Tech, I promise you, Mike Vick ain't walking through that door, and everybody knows that. So
Camp Chancellor's not walking through that defensive door.
So, and there's no disrespect. I was just using Virginia Tech as an example because obviously quarterback has been a problem.
Don't jump us.
It's been a problem position over there for quite some time, but you get the point. For Florida State, Jameis ain't walking through that door. It's not happening. It's not.
Don't jump us. Jordan Travis for Heisman. You know how they feel. Okay,
it's the truth. Ernie Sims ain't walking through that door, and it's not to say that they don't have great players in their own regard right now. They do. They do. I think everybody knows how high I am on Jared Verse. If you've ever heard me talk about Jared Verse, some people have said I had a crush on the man. He's a great looking man and all. That's not the way I roll. But he's a dog. Love him. Love his film. Love watching him play. But the reality is, again, to me, you got to beat the man to be the man. They ain't beat the man, so I'm not ready to call you the man yet.
Yeah, 1,000% agree there. And I can't, to your point, have to agree with Dabo. The energy there is for being the target on the back. No one believed in us. Everyone doubted us. We are the underdogs, and let's go get them. And that's why they're going to go get them. And the story writes for itself. I think that is ultimately going to be a good and exciting time for the conference, that there is this high-level competition and you don't have just Clemson and everybody else. So we'll definitely see how those chips fall where they may. But, ultimately, I don't know. Do you have anybody you see coming out on top in this regard? Are you still going strong with the Clemson pick over Florida State?
I mean, yeah. Okay, so I know I joke about I had a strong head of hair and all that good stuff. In reality, the last time Florida State beat Clemson, I want to say was 2014 or so. If we're seeing a situation where it's hey, Florida State has done the thing, they've unseated them, all that good stuff, I'm not going to be mad at that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be mad at that. But again, it's tough for me to say, hey, this team that has had your number, that's taking you to the woodshed time after time after time after time, now all of a sudden, I believe that you're better than them. That's tough.
But from an offensive standpoint, I'm strong on Clemson, but I see where you get, from a Florida State perspective, dialing into Jordan Travis and his veteran leadership and Johnny Wilson and that backfield. I get why you are high on them at the moment, or why folks are so high on them.
Yeah, I can understand it. Florida State's backfield loaded. Multiple backs that can do it. Jordan Travis finished last year excellently. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I still struggle to say you're the guy until you beat the guy. I still struggle with that. And I struggle to say they're the team. Base Jiren is in here bringing the facts of, they ain't beat a ranked team in quite some time. But very seriously, even beyond ranked team, I want to see you beat the best that this conference has to offer. Again, this is no disrespect to how they ended last year. You can only play who's in front of you, and they dominated that end of season schedule. Mm-hmm. But again, you got to beat the man. And now you're not giving the man ammo and said, oh, well, y'all might not be as good as Florida State. That's tough.
Let's talk about who got snubbed in the AP Top 25 poll. We have Florida State. We have Clemson. North Carolina, number 21. Not really a snub, because I feel like, they should be happy to be there. People are very high on Drake Maye. So the fact that they even got ranked with that defense, I know it's stressing Kenton out.
Absolutely. Very, very stressful for me. Nobody has ever accused me of loving on the Tar Heels too much. Nobody's ever accused me of such a thing.
Sure.
But very seriously, I don't see it. I don't get it. With all due respect, it's tough for me to see, understand, and get that type of deal there, because, again, if every game is going to be a race of 40, you can hope for the best. You really can. Wake Forest had success with it a few years ago. They did. They had a good little run there. That is not a sustainable or guaranteed way to get it done. It's not.
100%.
And the stories that I'm hearing out of Gab over there, that defense is not. I did not have confidence before, and I'm not like, oh wow, they're doing what now? Oh, the offense is really having a tough time. No such thing has inspired confidence in that defense so far. But at least this isn't like before, where it's like, hey, we've got a great quarterback, so we're going to be ranked in the top 5 or 10 here, because that's a scary situation.
The only other team that I feel like could be in conversation around being in top 25 would be NC State. And I say that because I think they have all the, strong weapons on offense. A couple of returners there. Definitely has some bad departures. Defensive, you're stacked. You have all the things. Peyton Wilson, 50th time he's going to play this season. Cool. If Brennan Armstrong didn't have the year that he did last year, I see the ranking. But it's because of that jacked up year is why I feel like they're taking a step back and having to really prove themselves. But if Brennan Armstrong had a Virginia of old type of year, then they definitely would be in the conversation.
Oh, of course. But honestly, here's the thing of why I'm confused that there are not more teams in the top 25. We all know, and this is with all due respect, when you get toward the back end of that top 25, you could have some teams in there that are a little unserious. Okay, a little unserious. That Iowa offense. You know, let's keep it a stat. Let's keep it a band here. Okay. If we put together a defense that was filled with just the best hosts from the Locked On Podcast Network, I don't know if they could drop 30 points on us. And that's not a joke. That's not hyperbole. There's a good amount of former athletes in there. And if Ferentz' son wasn't the offensive coordinator, he wouldn't have a job. So I'm not sure about Iowa. How did they get in there? And Iowa's not the only team. All I'm saying is the ACC deserved more representation. And I feel like this is a symptom of the fact that everybody has thrown the ACC this label of y'all are a conference in panic. Y'all are a conference that's falling apart. You can't do anything right. Your ice ain't as cold as ours. Your Sprite ain't as Sprite as ours. You can't do nothing the way that we do it because you're the ACC. And it's knock it off. Stop it.
It's okay because when we come out being McDonald's Sprite this season, I want all apologies in full.
I'm gonna tell you this: when everybody thought that Florida State was still terrible, they went out and beat LSU. LSU then goes on to represent their side of the SEC in the ACC Championship. You know, so what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And that's not the only example. Everybody talks about how good the Big 12 is. Very recently, I want to say in the last 2 to 3 years, the Big 12 had a season where every team that they played in the Sun Belt, they lost to. including the Big 12's, one of their champions, one of their division champs played a Sun Belt team and lost. So where are we getting this idea that, the ACC is just so bad. They're just so terrible. They're just so awful. What are we doing here? What are we?
Well, it's crazy because when Brett Venables left, Oklahoma was supposed to be this great thing and turn everything around, and the Big 12 was blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, buddy, what do you think you're going to do in the SEC? I got news for you. For half the teams that think they're going to fight their way to tooth and nail to be relevant in the SEC, I got some news for you. Come over here on this side where, yes, we have some very quality programs who are going to have decent seasons. And I know people are pissed because we're high on Duke, or we feel like Duke is going to be a strong team. It doesn't mean they're going to blow out the water, but is it because of things like that? Okay, Duke is actually halfway decent in football, therefore ACC must be bad. Louisville, is middle of the road, therefore ACC must be bad. Clemson is the only one that's good, therefore it must be dwindling off. Just pick a side, stay on it, stay on 10 toes. Let's see how the season transpires.
But that's almost every conference for the most part. And I know that the Pac-12 is now the 4-pack, but let's look at the Pac-12 the past few years.
Conference of Champions. I'm confused. That was literally their name.
And who from over there were you thinking oh yeah, they're gonna make the playoff this year? They're gonna do it. Who was their team?
No.
Who was their team? The Big 12. Again, I'm gonna go back to them because the Big 12, we gotta have some talks. We gotta have some conversations.
You got some beef.
I just have beef with the way the ACC is being treated because it's not fair. Even if we look at the Big 10, outside of three teams, if you drop off Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State in the ACC, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at your belief that they could win the ACC. I'm not mad at you. You know what I mean? Hey, Penn State got a Cass Tech guy, number one corner in the nation over there. Hey, I ain't mad at you. Shout out to Mr. King. Do your thing, baby. But outside of them, who else? Wisconsin? Iowa?
Hello.
Minnesota? What?
Child. Let's get
into. You can't say Purdue. They ain't got their coach no more, and they ain't got Jack Plummer, who everybody loves so much now over there. So who's gonna be in?
Yeah, let's read some of these comments here. One from Base Jiren. Is it Jiren? It's
Jiren. It's a character from Dragon Ball Z.
Okay. I was giving Jireh. Now Jesus all the things. Mm-hmm. The media gave corny Dabo ammo to motivate his team. Agreed. Listen.
They actually did. They actually did. And
We
I'm
hate
mad.
to see it. We hate to see it.
If you've ever seen the meme of Denzel Washington playing Malcolm X where he slaps the table, that's me right now. I'm slapping the table in disgust and anguish because y'all actually gave him the rights to be mad.
Johnny Blaze is on that, must be on that ooh-wee, because Miami's going to bounce back to at least an 8-4 this season. Johnny, what you must be having that good over there, because my bro, ain't no way.
It's possible. That's their ceiling. That's their ceiling for me.
8-4.
That's their ceiling.
All
That if everything goes right for Miami, I can see 8-4. Yeah.
Boy, do not let Miami have the season that everyone thinks Florida State is finna have.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Ooh-wee.
Oh my God.
The state of Florida would never be the same. They're going through enough down there. You can't let that happen. You can't let that happen too.
My God.
Lord Jesus.
Do not let Miami sneakily have the season that everyone thinks Florida State is going to have. CD said, I'm so looking forward to FSU falling on their face. All bark, zero bite. Pitt 2021 ACC champs are winning it in 2023. Listen, Ken Gibbs is high on Pitt. Quiet as he's a big Narduzzi guy.
Love Narduzzi.
Not
Narduzzi
impossible.
down.
Not impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you this. Pitt has a better crack at it than a lot of teams. I'll tell you this. Pitt has a better chance at it than UNC, in my opinion. And that's not a joke. That's
100% agree.
That's not something that I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared to say. Like,
give me Pat Narduzzi's defense with Drake Maye. Whew.
All right, well, I mean, but that's the thing. If you look at their quarterback situation, right? Or if you look at the situation of what is their quote unquote weakness, if you look at Phil Jacovic, do you think that he is better or worse than what you would say is as a quarterback equivalent to what North Carolina's defense is? To me, that's not even hard. Like,
it's not even close.
Phil, even when he's bad, is like he makes a forced throw here or there, but he's average.
Was he bad, or did he just have a bad offensive line?
Oh, that offensive line
frustrated.
was god awful. That offensive line was god awful.
Was he bad, or was he just frustrated? Listen,
but yeah, that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah.
Like, I feel more comfortable with Narduzzi's defense and Phil Jacovic than I do with Drake Maye and UNC's defense.
Well, I'm just a defense girl in general because I feel like a defense can help you remain in games, and somehow, some way, you're always going to be able to score. I don't see teams like struggling that mightily. So to me, it's about how defense wins championships. I truly believe that. North Carolina, just yeah. Base Gyron says not only will Miami go 8-4, they are beating UNC and NC State too. That's how I know Johnny just gave you that ooh-wee, because I think that's aggressive.
Again,
a little aggressive.
I'll tell you this: in Miami's ceiling scenario, those are likely. In their most likely scenario, no. No. Stop.
Unless Mario doing something we ain't seen. Unless Tyler Van Dyke, we gotta listen to Alex Dono at Locked On Miami. Unless Locked On Canes, rather. Unless there's been some change, some dynamic defense happening. Cam Kitchens might be it for me.
Here's the thing. Again, I have always said this about Miami. They have always had ball players. They have always had individuals who will go on and do great things. They'll make all pro teams. They'll make all pro teams. They'll make Pro Bowl selections. They'll do all the things. They as a team, they as a unit, football is known as the ultimate what sport, Miss Cooper?
Team sport.
The ultimate team sport. Bo Schembechler got famous with the saying, the team, the team, the team. They struggled with meshing last year and replaced half of their roster. So if they can figure out how to gel in this short amount of time, which college football is a lot about now, all of college sports is about gelling teams very quickly. If they can go ahead and figure this out, I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah. I'm going to end on one more comment here from Chad Bracey. Instead of being mad about teams wanting to leave, maybe ask why you insist on holding on to a team that doesn't want to stay. Let NC State, UNC, Clemson, and FSU leave free and move on. Maybe let me say something about capitalism. Is the mic on? Ain't nothing free over here. Ain't no lunch free. Ain't no nothing free. Ain't no such thing as free.
I'm going to tell you something, okay? Fantasia Barrino is one of my favorites. All right? If you don't want me, then don't talk to me. Go ahead and free yourself. You understand?
But you know what? Free yourself for that 9-figure penalty.
I was just about to say, but just know that freeing yourself is not going to be free. It's not free to free yourself here. And if all of those teams leave, the estimated payout is somewhere between $300 and $500 million. So at that point in time, you're looking at anywhere from 1.2 to $2 billion for the remaining teams in the conference. If they want to leave, Mr. Bracey, I'm with you, because the rest of the conference just got $2 billion, anywhere from 1.2 to $2 billion richer. Not mad at it.
Very much shrug. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys on this show. It's always good to get your feedback real time and afterwards. So make sure you drop in some comments. We'll talk through that as we go through the week. We'll prep you and get ready for what will be a great football season. I cannot believe we're so close to tip off. Like it's going to be insane. But I want to make sure that you are all checked up, dialed in, following the show wherever you listen to podcasts in the audio settings. You can also hit us up on YouTube. You leave comments live. You hit the subscription button. You make sure that you're tapped in. We'll talk about that and more, and maybe, just maybe, who might expand themselves as deadlines approach. We'll talk about all of that. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not. Maybe we'll go live again. It'll be a fun time still in this preseason doing what we want to do stage. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, until next time.